I think every agent wants to break into luxury. I think every agent wants to increase their average sales price. And I think expireds are perfect because you can see exactly what the other agent went wrong on. And it's an opportunity for you to come in with a better value proposition as the last agent.
Hello, everyone. Sergio Tifer here, and welcome back to Cracking the Code, the podcast where we break down the strategies, mindset, and systems behind real success in real estate and business. Today, we're joined by someone who is redefining how properties are marketed, perceived, and ultimately sold. Caine is a reality staging and renovation specialist, the founder of Style to Design, and the force behind the Caine Luxury Team. She's known for combining high-end design, strategic staging, and real estate expertise to elevate listings and maximize value. She has also taken her message to big stages and conferences, helping agents understand that design isn't just aesthetic, it is a powerful business tool. Let's jump right into it. Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. I truly appreciate it. And I know you bring a lot of value. I don't think we ever had any guest that was leaned so heavily into the luxury side of real estate like you are. So I'm very excited about that. And then also, I know that you're an advocate of listing every single property. And I know my colleagues and a lot of people in the business sometimes forget about that. And that's something that in my personal opinion, makes all the difference in the world. Like when you have a listing that is not staged versus one that it is. So, what are your thoughts on that? I know that why did you decide to go into luxury, first of all? And second, I know you came from the staging business. So can you connect the dots there a little bit, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure. So, first off, I always say I'm luxury at all price points. So yes, I sell luxury, but my brokerage sells everything from a trailer to high-end super luxury. I always say it's luxury at all price points. It's more about the experience for the buyers and the sellers than actually the price tag of the home. So I've been at it for about 22 years in the real estate world. I believe listings are your resume. I believe that every listing showcases what you're potentially capable of doing as a real estate agent. And so for me, there's many times where physical staging needs to happen. There's, a lot of great stats on it. 6 to 11% more is usually what sellers get when the home is staged versus unsstaged. Average days on market is 23 days versus 184 days, right? So there's a lot of analytics that go into how properties sell for more money and quicker when they're physically staged. However, there are a lot of times when physical staging doesn't make sense, which is why I created and founded the company Style to Design, which is basically a staging community where I have hundreds of agents all over the country that are part of, where I created and invented what's called reality staging and reality renovation. And that's what's gotten me. I won the pitch battle with Damon John for Shark Tank. Voted as a top 10 tech tool. I filmed 9 episodes with HGTV House Hunters based all around the concept of just listings are your resume, listings equal existing in the world of real estate, and just have pride in home ownership for your clients.
You said HGTV. Is that with Tarek? Is that the name of?
No, I did House Hunters.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Because there's another one somewhere.
I did 9 episodes here in Southwest Florida. Most all of them were about how I was de-Tuscanizing Southwest Florida one house at a time. So basically taking the yellow, red roof houses and making them a little more transitional to help them sell and then help my buyers do the same.
I was going to ask you about virtual staging. So of course, when the listing pops in Zillow and all these places and it's virtually staged, it's going to call the attention of the buyer. But what happens when the buyer gets into the property? Are they really able to visualize everything that they saw online?
No. So there's a few things that have to happen, which is why I created reality staging. So virtual staging is kind of like a bait and switch letdown for a buyer, right? Because they see it, but they can't actually bring it to life, right? There's no opportunity for them to actually create that vision in real life. So one of the things that I did is I went on a mission to try and find a solution for it, and it didn't exist, which is why I built it and created it. So right now, virtual staging, you can do it online, you can do it in MLS, you can do it in Zillow. So what I did is I actually created a platform where there's over 1,000 different interior design boards where you can choose cost effective, mid, or luxury. And then we actually have a beautiful design board where all the product is click to purchase down to paint color, flooring, light fixtures, everything. And we simulate that into the listing image. And then everything in the listing image is shoppable, which means that you can get the visual and now you can purchase it. And the best part about it is the agent actually earns affiliate revenue off of it. But they need to print those off. They need to have them in the listing online, but then they should print them off on a foam board, put them on an easel in the room. So when the buyer walks in, they get the visual online, they get the visual in person, and then they can let them know that the listing's shoppable because everything that they see, they can buy.
And should agents do that on a much higher price point type of listing, or do you recommend this for any type of listing?
Every listing. Like I said, I believe unless the home is gorgeous and it doesn't need anything, which is a very small chance. Like even if you physically stage a home that's original, I always say original means dated and ugly, but you say original because it's nice. If the kitchen and bath is original and you physically stage it, it looks better and it's more appealing. But the kitchen and bath, you still need to give the visual to the buyer of what the perspective it could look like renovated. So that's where we go ahead and do the reality renovation to show the buyer the full potential. The cost is so minimal. It's like $40 to do it. And so no matter whether it's a $150,000 house or whether it's a $10 million house, you should still create the renderings for the property.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And what are some of the common mistakes that you have seen when agents, in general, homeowners are staging their properties? I'm sure you're an expert at seeing those.
Yeah. The biggest mistakes is they overlook the small things, right? There's simple ways you can update a home that is going to help the seller make the highest ROI. A few things, obviously, neutral paint color is one of the best things that you can do for a seller. Another thing is, I always say the light fixtures are the jewelry of a house. Sometimes you can simple updates on light fixtures can really give the home character. So those are things that I always say is like there's nothing better than a clean house with a neutral paint color and some nice, pretty fixtures that can really transform the home to help the seller maximize profit.
Okay, that makes sense. So you think that picking neutral colors on wall paints, cabinets, it's also going to help that. So what about if the house has some wooden type of vibe? You know, because I've seen properties in the city that have that aspect where perhaps a neutral color may not be the best choice. Like, how do you, as an agent, how do you frame yourself as an expert to make these type of recommendations to
I'll role
homeowners?
play with you. You ready? What was your name again?
Sergio.
Sergio. Sergio. Sergio, there's a difference between living in a home and selling a home. And my job as your agent is to get you to sell your home for the most amount of money. Is that something you want to accomplish?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So even in my own personal home, if I were to stick it on the market, I would have to do a lot of things to make sure that I neutralize the palette of my property so that way it could appeal to the broadest range of buyers. So I'm going to show you some proven techniques that we know over the years that have helped our sellers maximize their profit anywhere from 6 to 11% more than their marketed competition. Do you think that would be a goal of yours?
Yeah, is that going to be too expensive? Perhaps. Maybe I don't have the money
Yeah.
right now.
Let's walk through some things that we can do to really showcase your home in the best possible way. One of the best ways to do that is to create a neutral palette in your home, maybe with a fresh paint color. Happy to get some tradespeople out. You have a painter as well. You can do that as well. And that's going to help really kind of neutralize the home so the buyer can envision themselves living in it. The reason why most homes don't sell or they get major price reductions is because the buyer can't see themselves living in the property because the seller has it for them personally and not for the buyer to see themselves in the property. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. So that's our goal today. So
It's a
those
good pitch.
so those are just little things that we just have to train. I built an academy where I teach and train the agents how to have confident conversations around working with buyers and sellers when it comes to interior design and staging. Because a lot of times it comes back to the agent just not having the confidence to deliver the message clearly or articulate.
Do you think you have a team right now, right? How many agents do you have in your team?
So I'm a little different. I have a team of 4 that we're in personal production, and then I have an office of about 90 agents.
Oh, okay. And you said that you do all type of price points, but are those 4 agents that you have specifically, are they on the luxury side of things?
Yes.
They are. So what do you think differentiates an agent that can do luxury versus another agent that probably has to work on a regular price point for whatever market they're in?
Yeah, your network is your net worth. So it's all about networking. Luxury, people think that they're just going to all of a sudden sell luxury. It's not. It's not that easy. You really have to network yourself in to get you maybe your first luxury listing, and then you have to position that as your resume to go after the higher net worth. So I always coach and train the agents that if their network is not in the net worth of the price point they want to sell in, that means that they need to reposition themselves and be in front of different people. So whether that's networking opportunities, chamber of commerce opportunities, whatever it is they need to do, they need to be in front of higher net worth individuals.
Okay, that makes sense. So, do you think an agent that has done no luxury in the past can aspire to be a luxury real estate agent by just going to these social events and everything? Or is there, because I know that they just have a different vibe. The luxury agents have a different type of presentation. They come across very differently than other type of agents. So I'm trying to understand the dynamics and the psychology behind being a luxury agent. Because, for example, my company, I have quite a few clients that they do sell luxury, and you can tell the difference just in their presentation versus, a team that doesn't.
I think it's all confidence, Sergio. It's all confidence. It's all about just being articulate and exactly what you can do, and in experience. When it comes down to it, agents that want to aspire to be in luxury, they've got to network themselves into the luxury world, but they also have to work on themselves and get the confidence, get the skill set to be able to do that. I mean, I coach hundreds of agents, but I'm also coached personally, by CEOs of companies, and it's that coaching from the CEOs of the companies that's really helped grow and expand my mindset and my ability to compete at a higher level.
So it sounds like you have a lot of businesses. Have you tried to vertically integrate all those businesses? For example, when you recommend a renovation to one of your clients, like do you own a renovation company or do you partner with other? Because I know a lot of teams and agents and business owners in general, they try to have ancillary businesses around their team or their brokerage. And sometimes it's very hard to visualize that. So do you have that in place already? Or are you working towards?
I do. Yep. So I have the team, the market center, a title company, a lender partner, a transaction management company, an interior design company, a staging company, and then also the style design technology platform. So I have 8 entities.
Do you manage all of those, or like do you have key people in all of those companies?
I have operations managers for all of those.
So it sounds like you're probably, how many hours a week are you working? 100 plus?
Yeah, maybe 5 hours a day.
5 hours a day. So do you have a lot of assistants, and how do you do that? How do you balance that out?
Support. Yeah, I have VAs. I have staff. I'm a time blocking savage, super intentional about the time that I spend, which is why I have a lot of gatekeepers for me.
You do. So do you recommend anyone that is working 40 plus hours to get assistant? I'm not talking just about VAs, by the way. I'm just assistants in general. Like how do they pick the best assistant for them to ensure that they get the maximum ROI on their activities? Because I've seen a lot of people, not even they're blocking timeline on their calendars to do things that are probably $15-20 an hour, when they're worth at least $400 an hour. So you're getting around that mentality is sometimes very difficult, but it seems like you have mastered that pretty well.
Yeah, I say always look at your calendar, and look at your day. Write down the things that don't fill your cup, right? That make you feel like you're working, that aren't in your skill set. And you got to get leverage. You've got to get someone who is really good at the things that you hate. Because if you're working in this skill set of things that are a waste of your time or that are not filling you up, your cup up, you're going to experience burnout, right? And
Yep.
so it's just making sure that you leverage the right people.
And, at what point, let's say you have a couple assistants, let's say you have 2, 3, 4, you have maybe 1 or 2 ancillary businesses going around. At what point you need to decide okay, I'm going to bring a high level operator for this particular business. And yes, that business is going to have assistants and whatnot, but because sometimes what they do is, okay, I have a property management company, I have a team, I will manage both. And then let me bring a partnership with a mortgage company and I will also manage that. But at what point you, as a successful operator, decided, okay, now it's time to bring a high level operator to manage that completely for me?
Yeah, I think it's once you see the growth, right? You got to look at the P&Ls. You got to look at what is it, are we at a profitable point enough yet that makes it sense to bring in an ops person? You've got to know your numbers. And I think so many business owners don't really know their numbers, right? So I think it's just determining that. I mean, many things that we leverage out to virtual assistants because the operators need help. It's not in their gift zone. So if the operators, like for instance, operators are not creative, right? So I have VAs that work on the creative side, so that way the operator can stay more in the spreadsheets, more in the analytics, more in the numbers. So I think it's figuring out your leverage aspect.
I got it. Okay. And then just out of curiosity, do you come from an executive background when you first started all of this? Do you come from a lot of money, or this is something that you kind of figure out on your own?
Yeah, I mean, I started in real estate in my early 20s. I didn't know anything. I grew up military. We did not have money by any stretch of the imagination. So I've just failed myself to success and never quit. To be honest with you, I've made a ton of mistakes, but I've just kept my eye on the end game, not the short game, and just never gave up.
What was the most amount of real estate that you sold in a single year
I did 310 million.
within your team? Wow, that's a lot. So what's the average price point in the market that you're in right now?
Well, the average price point in Naples is right around 650,000. My team average is about 1.2 million.
Okay, that's pretty good. So, wow, that's about, on average, I would say, what, like 275 houses that you guys sold in that specific
Uh,
year?
that year that I did 310 million, we actually sold 475 houses. We had a lot of lots that we sold. So the lots were a lot less expensive.
So when you saw your P&L at the end of that year and you saw all that income that you earned that year, how do you deploy that money the next year?
When you say deploy, what are you referencing?
Meaning, when you saw all that income in your P&L, did you reinvest a huge portion of that back into your team? Do you do AI, or did you just, leave it there for savings? I'm just trying to understand that. When you see that big number in your P&L at the end of the year, it's like, oh, I made it. We sold $310 million in real estate. All that income is in the bank account.
Yeah, just because you sell more doesn't mean you profit more. You have to know that there's a cost per lead, and so I would say that actually my highest sales year was not my highest profitable year, because we were spending so much in lead generation. We had so much staff that is actually one of my least profitable years.
I want to ask you a couple, quick answer questions, if you don't mind. So, one design or business resource you always recommend. One design or a business resource that you always recommend to your agents.
Did you say one design?
Yes.
One design or business resource I always recommend. Are you talking about for a buyer, seller, agent?
For a listing. Yes.
Oh, for a listing, style to design.
Okay. Biggest mistake agents make with listings. I guess not staging.
Yeah, I would say it's not staging, but also just scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset. They're so scared to make money, and they realize that that's really their resume of opportunity in the future, and they shortcut.
Absolutely. So one simple upgrade in the house, let's say you can only upgrade one part of the house that makes the biggest impact when listing the property. Which one would that be?
Neutral paint.
Neutral paint. Okay. Most overrated trend in real estate right now.
Virtual staging.
Biggest opportunity agents should be focusing on in 2026.
Trade revenue.
Awesome. So I have a big question for you, if you don't mind. So just being big on stages, you're big on conferences, speaking with a lot of agents at events. I think you were at the Keller Williams event. I'm trying to dissect that one. So you think that's something that is going to resonate with every agent on the luxury side of things?
I think every agent wants to break into luxury. I think every agent wants to increase their average sales price. And I think expireds are perfect because you can see exactly what the other agent went wrong on. And it's an opportunity for you to come in with a better value proposition as the last agent.
That makes sense. Now, are you concerned with AI at all affecting the way real estate is going to evolve in the next couple of years? Maybe with what Zillow is doing about, acting sort of like an agent and trying to, capture some of the business?
I think with AI, people are going to be craving more human interaction than ever. And I believe we're in a contact sport relationship business. And as AI progresses and people don't know whether it's a real person or not, they're going to crave real people more than they ever have before.
Any last message that you want to give to the audience?
No, thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, no problem. Have a great day.
All right. Heather, thank you for bringing such a fresh and powerful perspective to the conversation. It is clear that design is just not another aesthetic thing. It is about strategy, positioning, and results. And to our listeners, if this episode gave you value, inspiration, or a new way of thinking about your listings, make sure to follow, like, share, and drop a comment. Until next time, elevate your standards, think differently, and keep cracking the code.